And I appreciate your time. Do I call you Chris?
Yeah, Chris, fine.
Chris? Well, I appreciate your time very much. And who do I have with me?
So I'm Chris, I guess the AKA the Florida Bushman.
Chris, the Florida
Florida
Bushman.
Bushman.
Finally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time very much.
Yeah.
I want to thank Cohatch for letting me use this room.
Yeah.
Well, I can only think to ask you one thing, man. I scroll through the social medias and I see the Bushman. I never in a million years thought you were from Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah. I have a family, so I try not to put it out there as much, just
Sure.
because you know how people are on the internet and stuff. So we try to just stay under the radar as much as possible for family stuff. I mean, for
Protection,
protection.
privacy.
Yeah. So we're going to start a family channel, try to make the more family friendly stuff with the wife and the kids and stuff.
So how did Florida Bushman come about?
When I was younger, I had a lot of health issues. Um, I have it all written down. You might have to pull up my phone. I have a list. You ready for this list?
It's up to you. I'm ready.
I talked to my mom last night, and we wrote down all my medical history. So I was born with a hole in my heart when I was born, and the bottom two chambers. The hole was in between the two chambers. So at 4 months old, I was in congestive heart failure. So my body wasn't thriving to live. I was just so then we're going to wait till I was 2 to fix the hole. But since I was in congestive heart failure, at 11 months old, they fixed the hole and implanted a permanent pacemaker. So since I was 11 months old, I've had a pacemaker.
Wow.
Let me
You
look.
heard I've heard of people having physical problems, but not that's the youngest I can't imagine.
Yeah. So they fixed the hole. So at 2 on Mother's Day, we were camping at what's the golf course over there? Sandland. We're camping at Sandland.
Oh, okay.
And I got these little bruises all over me. So mom took me to the doctor, and I got diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh.
So I had 32 months of chemo, so 3.5 years of chemo. So after that, so I was young. I don't remember any of it. I did it all at Watson Clinic on the south side. My doctors were in All Children's in St. Petersburg. So I did 32 months of chemo, and then I fully in remission and recovered from that. So.
Oh my goodness.
And then let's see. At 6, they replaced the pacemaker. At 8, there was more holes that developed in my heart.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Holy
I didn't know that till
crap.
last night.
Yeah, mom and dad, that's the ones who know.
They didn't tell me. So so at 8, more surgery, more of a heart surgery. At 13, let's see, that was 8. At 10, yeah, and like I was telling Garrett last Wednesday, like, I don't use any of this stuff on my social media. Like, I don't tell anybody this. And I'm like, my wife's like, you need to use that in your videos. You're like, you need to tell people about this stuff. I don't know. I just don't let it stop me. You know?
That's right.
So
I'm speechless.
yeah,
I'm literally speechless.
I mean, some people could tell because later on in life, when I was 13, I'm a Keel, on spring break, we try to schedule my surgeries on like holidays and stuff because my wife now is currently a teacher. So like we try to schedule my surgeries I have now or in the future on holidays or vacation or
Of
like
course.
spring break. So when I was 13, we scheduled it's called a ablation. So what they do is it's a heart cath, but then they go through the main artery in your leg, and they take they cauterize your heart and try to get it back in beat. So they pretty much burn your heart in certain spots to get the rhythm back. I didn't know they did that until last night either, doing all the research for this. But during that surgery, I came back from recovery. I was 13 years old at this time. It's on All Children's. And I came back, and they were usually I'm awake, like I wake up in like recovery, like in ICU, and then they take me to my room. But my mom said when they brought me to recovery, they were bagging me, so they were breathing for me. And I guess they finally got me breathing on my own. And like 2 hours later, I had a seizure. My right arm went above my head and like started seizing up. I had a stroke laying there in the bed. So my mom, like, I was in the wrestling. She's like, "Oh, look, wrestling's on," like. And I remember it was Ric Flair and Sting.
Oh, I remember them.
So they were wrestling, and so they did a CT scan.
Woo!
Yeah, right. So it's crazy, having a stroke. Some of your memory goes away. I don't think that affected me at all because I remember some stuff and some stuff. I'm like, well, why do you remember that? So I don't. Um, so that was at 13. So I had a stroke at 13. When you go to shake my hand, most people shake with the right hand. My hand is it's communication from your brain to your muscles. So my arm took most of the effect. So my right arm is tight. So like when I go shake people's hands,
It's been that way since you were
since I
13.
was 13. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've had open heart surgeries. I had cancer, but this is the most thing that's affected me in my life was a stroke because I was right-handed before, so I became left-handed. So and we did it on spring break. So I was supposed to the surgery I had was supposed to be in and out the same day, but I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I never went back to school after that. The rest of that year, we had teachers come to the house and teach me, and then I went back the following year. So that was I was I was 13 when that happened, 14, something like that. And then so when they implanted the pacemaker back when I was little, I don't know if technology wasn't up to date as it is now because we're talking 30 years ago. 34 years.
It goes by
It
fast,
goes by
man. I'm
fast.
telling you.
Um, so there's wires that run from your pacer to your heart, and that's what makes your heart. It helps your heart beat. And so they run the wires into the valve to make the electric. Now they're sitting on top of the heart, but back then they ran into the heart. And what that did, you're not supposed to have wires going into your heart. So it affected my valve, my tricuspid valve. So when I was 15, no, when I was 10, 2000, I had my first valve replacement. So
So the heart
as in
has valves. A valve
yeah,
is something that opens and
open and
closes.
closes.
They take and cut your old valve out and
Yeah,
somehow put another one in
a cow valve
from a
from a
cow.
cow. Interesting. Isn't that
Wow.
crazy?
That is crazy. I
I
didn't know this existed.
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, that was in 2010. Since I was still going through puberty and stuff, the valve got calcium on it. I don't know. I don't know if it was my diet or what, but it only lasted 5 years. So in 2015, I had another valve replacement, and that one lasted a while. That one lasted up until 2019. In 2019, they um, they did the valve replacement again. So they cut you, split you open.
I'm
Um,
I'm
since I've been cut open so much, there's so much scar tissue. So the surgery is only supposed to last 2 hours, but it took them 3 hours to cut through the scar tissue because I have so much because I've had so much trauma to my chest and to my heart. I was like, well, yeah, I got trauma to my heart. They went to my heart and burned it.
I
With
can't I
the I didn't understand it till last night. Like all the stuff. I just wake up and live life every day because it could be your last day.
That's exactly
That's just the
right.
way I live life. Um, so my last surgery was last year in March. I had a pacemaker replacement, and since so much surgery and so much scar tissue, the wires that are there, I have a hard time putting them because there's so much pressure on my heart. So they had a hard time, but we're good now.
Oh
So
my gosh.
so
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. You know, I complain that when I was 9 years old, I had my tonsils removed and I have scar tissue build up and sometimes it's hard to swallow. And I complain. I had wrist surgery and sometimes it aches and I complain. I was I have back problems. My lumbars are shot and I've never been cut and I complain. I'm speechless to think that, first of all, that you're still going.
yeah,
That sounds like I would have given up a long time ago. God bless you, man. That is shocking.
it's just it's my mom sent me a paperwork and it's like God creates people, how He creates them, and she said that the way it created me was like it's just the way I create. Now it's just my life. It's
You
just
just,
wake up
yeah.
and
Do you have any siblings?
yeah. I have a sister. Well, I had a sister. She passed away in a car accident in 2017. But yeah. So
So anytime you feel like complaining, you always know, and my mom and dad always told me, you know what? There's always someone in a tougher position
yeah,
than
there
you.
is.
So be grateful for what you have when it was given to you, and you may not be given anything else in the future.
Yep.
Enjoy the moment.
Yep. Be present.
Absolutely.
So
Well, how did
so
yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
So your question was how did the Bushman start?
Right.
So during all those years in the hospital, I tried to stay positive because, at some points I shared a room with some other kids because I was in all children's, and then, so I tried to stay positive, make the nurses laugh and stuff. So, um, I always have a funny sense of humor. So I was watching YouTube with my wife. Before we had kids, that's what we did at nighttime after work, and I saw this guy in Vegas, Ryan Lewis videos or films, and he was the Bushman in Las Vegas. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that in Florida. So I went on Amazon and bought a suit. And back then it was just me and Ryan. And I contacted him and say, hey, look,
That's the guy in
in
Vegas?
Vegas. Yeah, I
Okay.
contacted him like, hey, look, I'm gonna start doing this. Just out of respect, I didn't want to step on any toes.
Of
And
course.
he hadn't have done it. He hadn't shot a video in like 2 years because he had back issues. Also a retired veteran. Um, so I reached out to him. The first video I shot was scaring my wife coming home from work. The second one was her mother that lives like 100 yards down the road from us. So it was fun. I did it for a little bit, and then I stopped, and then started doing like vlog videos. But once I started doing it and saw the laughter and smile that brought to people, my saying is laughter and smile saves lives. And
Amen.
that's the
I
way
love
it
it.
is. So I create laughter and smile, and I try to save lives. Just
And it works.
it works. So
Have you done some here in Lakeland?
so actually, the first one I did was remember Zombie Fest when it was down here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I did it there, and then they moved it out to the airport, and I got permission to go out there and do it at the airport. So that's when I
What
started
year was that? About 10 years
10
ago?
years ago.
Okay.
So I've been doing it like going out every weekend 8 years, but that's like when I first.
How do you decide where to go?
I just look up events. So like I've done the Bucks games. I do the Lightning games in Tampa. I try to do all the University of Florida games. So I drove up to Gainesville and do those.
Wow.
So just where there's lots of people to scare.
Can you get hired?
Yeah.
Are you for
If
hire?
people want to hire me, yeah.
You're for hire. So they go to, what's your website?
I don't
Or
have a website actually. Just
your handle?
Florida Bushman.
Florida Bushman
Yeah.
on Instagram,
Instagram, Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
That is
I
fantastic.
think it's Bushman on TikTok. But,
Okay, Bushman on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so I've seen dozens. I've seen it many a times, and I never even looked to see who or what's behind it.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you from my point of view. I just subscribe, and then to find out just last week that it's the guy. He's in our town, Lakeland, Florida. Thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, man.
So. You sell merch?
Yeah, so I just created a store not too long ago. It's through a business called Bonfire.
Okay.
You just, it's all on my. I'll put it in my link tree.
Okay.
So
Linktree.
yeah. It'll be-
Fantastic. And when you do in your off time, just
So what I do during the day is I watch my two kids. I'm a stay-at-home dad during the day, and that's a blessing because during the pandemic, the 10 years before that, I worked at Disney World.
oh, you did.
Yeah. So I worked at Space Mountain. I worked in
Oh
Tomorrowland
my God, my
altogether.
son would love to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he Space Mountain is his favorite,
Oh yeah.
and he's a Disney fan. And yeah, me and his wife, me and my wife are is like his only people he talks to. But you talk to him about the NFL or you talk to him about Disney, you got a friend for
Friends.
life. Have you ever considered or they ever asked to do it over there at Disney?
No, no. I worked there for 10 years as I was doing it. So I work during the week and then go out on weekends and do the Bushman stuff. So
That is incredible.
yeah.
And so, how did it start to take off? Do you just
So when
post?
when the pandemic happened, we got furloughed from Disney, and I just never went back. So I've been doing it full time since.
So that's when you started doing it right after Disney.
Yeah. So
And so you just get a, you got your
yeah.
potted
So my
plant.
flower pot, I've had the same one. I mean, I go out and buy the same pot. They actually stopped making them. So when I found that out, I went to like Brandon and Tampa, and I bought all the pots. So
For
I
the
have.
future. Do they
I
break?
have. Do it.
Do they break?
Yeah, they break, but I can make one pot last. A flower pot last about I don't know 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah,
And you use the same
same one.
outfit?
So I've for the first couple of years I just bought the ghillie suit off Amazon, but when more people started doing it, they started putting leaves on theirs. So I put leaves on it now, and so
So any particular videos or cases that people really like, or any story that really jumps out?
yeah, lots of stories. Doing it 8 years. So one that stands out, a couple stand out. So we filmed in. It was I actually Ryan, the guy that I got the idea from. He came down here and we filmed together.
Oh, you did. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice.
So we're good friends now. We ran a Facebook page for a couple of years together. So he had a guy email him and say that we scared his wife a couple of years ago. But I keep all my footage from 2017 to the last weekend. I have all the footage,
That's right.
every scare.
Save it up. I got mine on a little.
Yeah, I got hard drives after hard drives in my office. But this guy, his wife died, passed away, and he wanted the interaction with us and her, us scaring her. So the way I categorize it, I could go back and find her.
So he asked for like a copy of it.
Copy of it. So I made a video for him and sent it to him.
That is fantastic.
So another one, two more stories I'll give you.
Sure.
We were
thank you.
in. So I like to I do Tampa, Orlando. I like St. Augustine, but my favorite spot is Clearwater Beach during the spring break and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we were over there. So I bought a camper last year for family, and so when I go to excuse me, when I go out to like Clearwater, I'll rent a camping spot and we'll go over there for the week for spring break or for the summer. And so we were set up at this outside of a surf style shop over there in Clearwater, and we were scaring all day. And then we went back to the camper, went to sleep. Woke up the next day, and my camper guy's wife said that there was a murder over there in that gift shop, and we actually scared the guy that did the
victim or the perpetrator?
The perpetrator. Yeah.
You scared the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Who was it that same night that he?
It was like 2 hours before. Yeah, right in front of the gift shop.
That he ended up.
Where he ended up.
Oh my
committing a
God!
murder.
What are the chances of that?
That's crazy.
I can believe. I tell you a quick story because that when I was a kid, I'm from Hamilton, Ohio.
Okay.
And I went to a skating rink there in our town, and a guy was playing pool. and he kept putting the quarter in, and it would come down to the bottom of the pool table, and he'd just take his quarter out and put it back in. He kept playing the game pool for free. And I noticed this, and I was probably about 10 or 11. And I went and told the manager, my dad, mom and dad told me straight, if you see it, say. So I went and I told him, well, he was watching me, and I didn't know it. I was a kid, and I had ice skates on, and he was in tennis shoes. Well, he started chasing me, and I ran out on the ice rink, and I started being, ha, 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 ha. Well, I slipped, fell, and he popped me. And he got me good. He got big old blind, called the police and all that. Come to find out, years later, he's now in prison in California. He murdered 8 women.
Wow.
And his name escapes me right now. But he ended up being a serial killer. And he murdered, and he beat me up as a kid. Rogers. His last name is Rogers. I can't remember his first name, but he's out in California. And this one guy, you never know. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable. So, has anybody ever got mad?
Yeah. So, we try to make people laugh and smile, but there's always that one bunch in that one bad apple in the tree. So I've been hit, just out of reactions. But most people that hit you that's their reaction.
Yeah, it's natural.
Most people, if they're mad at you, they'll sit there and yell at you and stuff. Like I just did a video over at the Lightning game, and I scared I was scaring a family, and there was an older lady and her daughter beside them, and they actually saw me. And the daughter says, "Watch out, that tree's gonna move." And I scared the family, and that lady just started going off on me. And we were live on TikTok.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, we were live on TikTok. So, yeah. So she yelled at me, and then she went over to my camera guy that was filming and yelled at him.
And you got all that. You never turn the film off, right? You always keep the film running. Yeah. And you said there was another story. Was there one more?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask if we get harassed by the police, because I try not to set up on private property. If I do, I ask their permission. So I know we can set up on the sidewalk on public access. So we were set up in Jacksonville, and it was me and the Georgia prankster. There's another Bushman in Georgia, and there's one in Jacksonville. So we were all filming together, and we were filming the Florida-Georgia game. That's a big event.
Everybody knows.
The cocktail party.
Yeah. So
I've done that like the last 4 years. And we were sitting there like 20, 30 minutes, filming, and then this bike cop comes up. And I have some glasses that has a camera right between the lens.
Oh, okay.
So I've had that for like 5 years. I've only worn it twice. And that day I was wearing them. And he comes up and he says, "You're going to stop this right now. I'm going to take you to jail." That was his first interaction with me. So I'm like, okay. And the years prior, I was like 200 yards down the road, across the street, pranking right in front of the police station. Okay. You can see the jail in the background of where I'm videoing at. Never had an issue.
It's the person, the cop as a person.
Yeah. So this cop walks up or drives up on his bicycle. First interaction, I'm going to take you to jail. So I kind of questioned him, like, "Hey, let me know, like, be on the same page." He's like, gave me his excuse, and he drove off. So instead of causing an issue, I just get up and move somewhere else, because somewhere big like that, they're not going to find you again.
That's wise. That's wise.
So I just, I could have went back and forth with him. The other Bushman, they were filming too, and they threw him under the bus, And I have a lot of respect for the police, because that's what I wanted to do before I started doing Bushman.
Oh, okay.
I was a police explorer for like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Here in Lakeland and Tallahassee. So I started the process of the academy, but with my health issues, I just couldn't do it.
Sure.
So with my glasses, I could see his name tag on his shirt. So I did my research, and this guy was a veteran dealing with some demons, and
you've been deployed
and came back over here and tried to commit suicide a couple of years ago, and his wife found a nonprofit. I think it was in Ohio. Save a Warrior is a nonprofit, and so what I did is I created a video with him in it. But at the end of it, I started a GoFundMe, and I raised money because he had a charity for himself, and then whatever money he raised, he would donate in his name to that charity. So what I did is I raised money and gave it to him for his charity. So instead of throwing the guy under the bus,
You turn it
I
out.
turned it around.
Love
and
is
yeah,
the strongest force in the.
yeah. So
Hate is right there behind it, but love is the strongest
yeah.
force. That's
So
fantastic.
I tell people I do this to make people smile and laugh. That guy was having a bad day. He just came upon us. Maybe the ghillie suits was threw back and PTSD. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I posted it to Instagram. On Instagram, you can put like to raise money, and the officer saw the video and donated money to the nonprofit through my video.
That is fantastic.
I'm like, wow, man, that's.
Have you talked to him again?
No, so I was gonna reach out to the department to reach out to him. I might contact him this year. I'm gonna go back up there just to take a picture and
That's
tell him
fantastic.
thank you for his service. And
Absolutely.
so,
Yeah, you could turn a situation, instead of it escalating,
yep,
turn it into love,
yep,
and you'll be rewarded yourself.
yep,
That I fully believe that 100%.
yep. So
Well, that's neat. Thank you so much for sharing that.
that's you like you said earlier. You just click on the YouTube channel and you just watch the videos.
Right.
There's a lot that goes on behind that.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about posting some of those?
Yeah. So we actually did a vlog that video. So me and my wife are creating the family channel, Bold Adventurers. So I'm going to try and share some of that stories on that channel.
Yeah, that could be just as popular as.
Yeah.
So, do you recall, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
because this is in my future, I hope. I've got 2,000 followers, but you've got hundreds of thousands. Have you seen? He's like, oh my God, what's that feeling when you start to grow? Didn't it feel good? You know you're giving good to the universe, and you see some of it coming back.
So I sit there and I think I did that, and over the 8 years, you kind of get like what works, what doesn't work, like I posted a video on Instagram and it's just me. I'll sit there in the flower pot and I'll sit there and like talk to people, but they don't know, they don't see me, right? So they're like thinking my camera guy's talking to them or whatever. And so I went last night down here to the lake, and the video on Instagram has 1.5 million views, and it got me 15,000 followers just through that one video. But the comments in that video is like, we love this. Me talking to the guy, because the guy, it was a homeless guy. I was talking to him, and he walked around me looking for me.
It
didn't
click.
It didn't click. And then he saw me and gave me the biggest hug.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
So they love that. So I'm like, well, let me go out and do more videos like that, to bring more positivity in the world. So I went down to the lake last night. It wasn't as busy as I thought it was going to be. So
I want to experience it in person.
Yeah.
I want to not be seen, not know that people are watching me watch you, but I want to observe that.
So maybe I told my wife maybe I'll come down one Saturday morning to the farmers market.
Yeah.
I don't want to scare people, because we have set up, I think, at the farmers market, and I asked permission, so I need to ask permission that in the future. But
well, I mentioned it to Adriana out here, and she said she'd love to have you right out here in front of Cohatch.
Okay.
She said she'd love to. That'd be cool. And you never done it out here, or?
No, so I've done it once over by the garage for Zombie Fest.
See, that just blows my mind. Yeah. You're from Lakeland, but you're getting more experience and more from outside. Yeah. That's unusual. When you say you know what works and what don't work, that shocks me. That surprises me.
Yeah.
Well, anytime anybody's making the world better, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, sure.
I want to be a part of it somehow, some way. I want to be a giver, not a taker.
Yep.
I mean, well, I appreciate it. And are there charities or anything in the public that you do that's close to your heart?
So I want to work with, there's a lot of profanity in my video, so it's not really advertiser friendly.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and take some of that out, make it more
PG.
Yeah, PG, and that's another thing with the family channel. I'm gonna do too is, I know, like I said, I know how stuff works, so I want to, create
Do you have any
some.
idea how many videos you've made?
No,
Hundreds?
hundreds.
That is content
Yeah, it's
everlasting.
like owning a house.
It just continues,
Just
yeah.
continue.
And you
Yeah,
can splice it for 1 minute shorts. You can do it 2 minutes. You know what you're doing.
yeah.
That is
The
incredible.
video. So when I was in Jacksonville for the Florida Georgia game, I went to the Jacksonville beach. So there's like a more younger crowd there with the bars and stuff. So I did one of those things of just talking to somebody, and these guys wanted to fight me, but they didn't see me. And then I had the guy that hugged me, and I put those two videos together. The guy hugging me was 3 years ago, and the guy that wanted to fight me was 2 months ago.
And this is on your
Yeah,
Instagram.
That's the last video.
Oh, okay, that's why I was like.
The last video I posted. Yeah.
So when you're at home, you get the privilege of raising your own kids from
Yeah.
home, and so you just make up your videos and stuff and think of the next thing.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of what I do. I sit at home. I can't move sometimes and laying in the bed, and thank goodness.
That creator mind, man,
Yeah.
that never shuts off.
Yeah.
You're always thinking too.
And the last 5 years of my kids' school, I got to raise them from
Yeah.
home while my wife worked.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Hunt, Chris, I appreciate everything, man.
Yes.
I would love to get to know you more,
Yeah.
and I definitely want to observe this because that looks funny. I remember one. I don't think it was you, but there was a woman who was walking by, and he scared, and she freaked out, and she cried. She started crying.
Oh yeah, it's playing Georgia Prankster.
Jordan,
Yeah,
she
it was in Savannah.
She was really
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's seen that.
Yeah,
one.
that we all get because she was I think she was autistic or had Down syndrome. So we're all every time we go out prank, are you the guy that scared the autistic girl?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which going behind the story, and I kind of taught him because he's in his first year, Georgia. He's one of my good friends. We just videoed at Gasparilla together. The father of the girl that cried, he came back and gave him permission and like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like he didn't show that behind the story, but
yeah,
he sends Georgia, Miguel sends them merchandise and stuff all the time.
That's nice, yeah.
So
Because there's no ill intent.
No,
there's no ill intent. So if it happens,
but people saw him scaring an autistic girl, and
yeah, we all.
How could you do that? And but
yeah, you don't know at the time.
Yeah, but.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so very much,
Yeah.
man. You have a fantastic. If there's anything I can